You're listening to Passing Time, a Detroit Lions podcast. We're one pride and all grit, with a passion for Detroit Lions football. Whether you're between meetings, between classes, sitting in traffic, or just relaxing at home, if you have time to pass, pass it with Passing Time. Detroit Lions Talk.
Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in and making our podcast one of your weekly listens. This is podcast number 34, Brian.
34. Here we go.
And you're on the clock. Thanks for passing time with us. A Detroit Lions podcast. I'm Rob.
I'm Brian.
And we're coming off a tough one last week, Brian.
Yep. Tough.
We're walking into a do or die.
It's a must win, if you will. So
we are now down to the must wins, right?
Yep.
Also, it's a big one coming up for Pittsburgh too.
Yeah, I mean we're going to be fighting tooth and nail to see who can make it into those playoffs, and they want it probably just as much as we do. So
they're in a similar situation to Detroit. They need wins. They're probably in a more enviable situation with a weaker division than the Lions are.
You know, similar or same record and a top of their division versus the third place in their division. So yeah,
Aaron Rodgers coming back.
And got a taste for Aaron Rodgers, and I think our defense might too. So
all right.
Yep.
Rooting guide for this week. You gonna have anything for us?
Yeah, I mean we're gonna see what we're going to need in order to make that playoff run. So,
all right.
Yep.
Need from other teams. Are you going to give us a little breakdown of what the Lions are going to need to make the playoffs?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And Brian, is this podcast getting into drafts and offseason yet? Are we glued in and locked into the season?
This is locked in. Hey, we do our job. Yes, we're going to need some help along the way, but we still have a high percentage if we take care of our business to make that playoff run. So we're not done.
We're not done. Podcast totally focused on what we need to do to win this week.
Yep.
What other teams need to do that are your rooting interests, and also we're going to break down a little bit of kind of what went wrong last week. Last week was a tell. We were talking about like it's going to be a tough game to win.
And it's funny, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but that was one of the games that we predicted that the Lions probably weren't going to come out victorious, but it just felt different along the way, right? I mean, when you saw us going out to that 10-point lead and then it kind of got dwindled away in that third quarter, it hurt a little bit more.
You got your hopes up,
yeah,
right? Like
yep,
you got your hopes up. So, let's get into it here. So,
okay.
Lions situation check here. Path to the playoffs, Brian. Break it down for me right now.
All right, well, simple enough as we got 3 games left and we have to win all 3.
Okay.
It starts with that. If we drop one of those 3, the odds of us making the playoffs is slim and goes down dramatically. I mean, you probably have seen the Christmas chart, as we like to call it. And it says basically, we got to win. And we got to win out. And it comes down to now, not only do we win out, but we got to get some help along the way.
Yeah. So we will talk about the help along the way, but first let's talk about winning out. And let's talk about the Steelers a little bit without giving the full breakdown because we're going to get into that in a little bit.
Sure.
But we got the Steelers at home, our last home game of the year.
Yep.
And then we got the Vikings on the road and then the Bears on the road, Ryan.
And it looks like, it's going to come down to the final week of the season where we're going to be eye to eye with that Bears team and looking for a win and get in situation. So what we're going to need, though, and as we move forward, we need wins for the Lions in each of those games. And I think we're going to be favorites in at least 2 of the 3, if not all 3.
Okay. And friends of the pod, listen up here. What are the chances that all of us are going to be down in Chicago in that final week in our snowsuits watching the game? I think there's a high probability that we might bring you some live podcast down from Chicago. If my wife is listening, come on, man. Come on. You got to let me do this, all right?
And Lisa, I love you. You've already given me the okay. All
right. So playoff picture right now for first place. You got a game going on right now, maybe over your shoulder here. You got the Rams and the Seahawks battling it out. Those teams seem pretty locked in. There's some stuff that could happen.
It is, and the Rams winning this game is probably our rooting interest in regards to what could happen. I think there's a slight chance that if the Seahawks lose out, that we could possibly overtake them. but the likelihood of that is probably pretty slim.
Okay. And then where do other teams slide in after the
Okay,
Rams?
so we got the Rams at 11-3. We got the Bears right now in second place, the head of the NFC North at 10 wins.
The Bears are just ping-ponging, right? Because they were in the first place, and then they're in the last place, and they're back to the second. That's how tight it is.
And that's how tight it is right now. And you look at this NFC race, and unless you're the Bucks or possibly the Panthers, you have to have a pretty great record to make the playoffs here.
Yeah. So then you got the Eagles, kind of holding down their division. Not anything great, but they're kind of holding it down. You got the Bucks there at 4th. The Seahawks, they're probably won't even really jockey around. They got the 49ers. That's a strong division out
Strong
west.
division, yep.
And then the Packers. Any news on the Packers this week?
Well, yeah. I mean, we got the Micah Parsons news.
Why are you smiling, Brian?
I mean, you look at what the Lions are in need of, and then it's a demise of the NFC North. And when you have your best player go down, that means they're out first round picks and they're out Micah Parsons for 9 to 12 months. So
yeah. So
yep.
What can the Lions still win the NFC North? Is there a path to that we could maybe try to figure that out?
There is a slim but true path for the Lions to make it to the NFC North and be ahead. Again, it starts with the 3-0 for the Detroit Lions. So we have to win our next 3 games. Next, if you're in your going in those rooting interests, the Packers have to lose 2 of their 3 next games. And the Bears, need to win versus the Packers, and then lose to the 49ers and lose to the Lions. So if those scenarios fit, the Lions with a 3-3 record in the NFC North take the North.
It doesn't sound like mission impossible.
No, I mean it's very doable, but you need help, right? We can't just be reliant on the Detroit Lions to win their games and make it to the end. You gotta see the Packers fall apart. Which is very possible, and you got to see the Bears fall apart. And you saw a couple of their best wide receivers go out this week, so it's possible. So
Brian, stick to the rooting interest here.
Yeah,
what happened last week, and then what are we expecting kind of going into week 16 here, and what do we need to kind of pull this out?
All right, so for week 15, we kind of gave you our rooting interests and what we needed to happen. We got 4 of those 9 games in our favor. The Bucks lost, the Packers lost, the Panthers lost, the Cowboys lost, but ultimately we lost, and it didn't help us. So most of it, minus the Packers, was that the folks that were chasing us kind of fell off. So it just made our push a little bit more comfortable, but we're still on the outside looking in.
So what I'm hearing from you, Brian, is the Lions are like the worst house in the best neighborhood right now, right? Or the best house in the worst neighborhood.
Yeah. I think we're probably right now the best house in the worst neighborhood.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And we need a little bit of help.
Yep.
But it's doable, and there's not a lot of threat below us.
No, and so the push from behind has been dropped off. The Cowboys lost their game. They were kind of our biggest threat, and losing their game last week, kind of put us a little space between us. So we're in a pretty good spot when it comes to the Cowboys, and we have the tiebreaker against them anyway.
So week 14, are you rooting for the Packers? Week 14, Packers Bears. Brian,
oh my
God, come on.
Just for the comfort of us to get in, the easiest route for us to get in is for the Bears to lose one of those next 2 games. If the Packers, so I'm going to root for the Packers.
All right, so week 15, you got to change it up, right? You got the Packers again playing another pivotal game out in Denver. Are you a big Broncos fan last week?
I was 100% rooting for the Broncos, and that worked out for us, right? And if you looked at the Packers, I mean, they lost several of their starters. You look offensive line, D-end with Micah, a wide receiver, and we'll see how long those injuries are. But that's going to impact them here this week. So.
Yeah. So week 16, give us the guide here as we enter I would say the most critical week of the year.
Yeah, I mean This week is the most critical, and when we win this week, it'll be next week is going to be the most critical, and it's going to be like this moving forward. So we're going to start playing playoff football right now in week 16. So it starts off with the Lions and Steelers. Lions got to win. Got to win. We got to come out with a victory. And we'll talk about this in a little bit, but we don't lose back-to-back games. We got to go through and come out on fire. When it comes to the Bears versus Packers, if you want us to win the NFC North or have a chance, you got to say go Bears. But if you want us to just get in, then you got to say go Packers. So, right now that to me is a toss-up. I'm going to be rooting for the Packers to take care of their business and just allow us to get in.
What you're saying is that's the best path, the highest probability path.
Highest probability path is for the Bears to lose one game, and it puts us in we take care of our business. We control then our own destiny. If we win, we're in.
Yeah. All right.
Yep.
All right. Seahawks, Rams.
Seahawks, Rams right here. The best case scenario for us is the Rams take that game. We can catch the Seahawks, and I would imagine that it would have to come down to a tiebreaker at that point.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Anything else that's really noteworthy?
Again, the 49ers, I that would be another one of those rooting interests towards the Colts. But ultimately, we're going to be focused in on our NFC North, and that's our best path in. So
yeah.
Yep.
Give me your barometer here. Are you still announcing your glass is half full? Or are you starting to announce that the glass is more empty than full?
I'm battling it. I am ultimately a realist that sides more on the optimistic side of things. Yeah. But it's been a battle this week. This roller coaster of a season has been trying on my nerves. And if you told me that the last 3 games we got to put a string together, and we haven't put a string of wins together since October 5th, then I wouldn't be lying if I didn't say that I was nervous.
Yeah.
And right now I'm nervous. My thoughts are I'm excited. I think that we 100% should win this game. I 100% believe that we should beat the Vikings, and it should come down to the last week of the season in Chicago.
Yeah. Without giving too much away, let's talk about this week against the Steelers. Okay. Let's dive into what your why are you so confident? What sparks that confidence? And what do you see this week when we play at home at the 4:00 game?
Yeah, it comes down to our offense and what our offense can do against a Steelers defense. Our offense is still ranked first in the league in scoring. We are still going to score points. And that's without, at this point, like a successful run game the last few weeks, without a successful Gibbs the last couple weeks. But ultimately, we have the players still without a Sam Laporta or a Brock Wright, without a starting caliber left guard. We still have a high octane offense that's going to score points.
I mean, the offense at this point is not the problem. There's some consistency issues that we would love as Lions fans to see, like a real consistent offense.
Yeah.
But is it not the highest scoring offense in the league?
It still is, but that highest scoring offense is reliant on the explosive plays. And that's completely different than what we're used to in years past, right? We kind of prided ourselves in grinding out games, run games, establishing the line of scrimmage, our offensive line being better than your offensive line, and just pounding the rock. And this year it's a little bit different.
So we're having success in different ways, but it also comes with a little bit more failure.
100%. And that's where those inconsistencies kind of hit, is when you don't get that explosive play from J-Mo in the third quarter, up the middle, off his fingertips kind of piece, that puts you behind the sticks,
mm-hmm.
And when you don't have the run game established and you continue to try to grind that out, it puts you behind the sticks. And that's where a team like this can lose a game like the Rams, which we felt we were right there with. So
we were right there with. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
So what day of the week? This is not a trick question, Brian. Did the Lions play last week?
So we played on Sunday at 4:25 last week, and we play again on Sunday at 4:25 this coming week.
Okay. Can you give me the data on the Steelers last week?
Well, the Steelers this past Monday played a late night Monday night football game against the Miami Dolphins. they got the victory. But again, you look at the window of rest and preparation, and that puts us a little bit in an advantage.
And where's this game at?
This game's home in Motown. So
right. And what do the Lions do after they lose?
They don't lose again. They win.
Okay.
The Lions don't lose back-to-back games. They haven't done so in 3 years. So let's continue that streak. Knock on wood. Wear your luckiness. Wave your banners, and let's make sure Dan Campbell takes care of business.
So we got to get rid of that juju. I don't know what has to happen, but midweek, Dan Campbell's got to I don't know, come up with some kind of juju where the Lions feel like they're at a loss in some kind of scrimmage, and they can come out a little bit different.
Yeah, and the Lions. I mean, I will tell you, I believe that the Lions are better with their backs against the wall. I believe that the Lions are better when they're underdogs. I believe that Dan Campbell lives that life too, and he enjoys that hunt versus being hunted way more. And the problem is that our standard has completely changed for the Detroit Lions.
Mm-hmm.
Our standard is playoffs. It's wins in playoffs. It's making NFC Championship games. It's getting to a Super Bowl. That's where we want to live now. And now that we're struggling, or the outside looking in when it comes to playoffs, that's where you're starting to hear the negativity come through the woodwork.
Yeah. So watching the Steelers on Monday night, what I saw is a pretty gritty team.
Yep.
They're a Mike Tomlin tough-nosed team. What I saw at Aaron Rodgers is a guy that there were his traditional long seam passes available, and I saw a guy throwing a 7-yard out rather than taking the big shot. I see a guy that might understand his limitations a little bit more.
And this is also a guy that does not want to pick himself off the turf either. He is going to avoid contact at all costs, and that means that ball is going to come out quick. And then he's going to make sure that he feeds his ideally first read, if not check down.
Yeah. They will throw one or two over the top, just to keep you honest. And Aaron Rodgers is really good. Also, Aaron Rodgers is the king at, you're trying to drag your 12th man off the field real quick. He is he's a cerebral guy. He understands kind of the intricacies of football. When he sees a mismatch, when he sees a team lining up wrong, he's taking the snap and he's going to deliver.
And I will agree. And I think that Kelvin Shepard has his defensive scheme in check, and his personnel better be prepared to get on and off the field when there's a call, because you're absolutely right. Aaron Rodgers is the king of taking advantage of those mistakes. So
TJ Watt.
Is he going to play? That's the big question mark. He had a needling injury in training room and collapsed lung, had to have a procedure or surgery done in order to reinflate. The research that we've kind of checked into with the docs that we know, think that it's at least a 2, if not further, recovery from that, and that even if he does play this week, he's not going to be a full participant. So.
I would say he's probably doubtful at this point, and because the Steelers have a little bit of a buffer, this isn't a ride or die game for them.
Correct.
So maybe not seeing TJ Watt's going to be a blessing in disguise. And is there anything else on that defense? I mean, they're still a pretty sound defense, but TJ Watt's the kind of the straw that stirs that drink. Right?
Absolutely, and you look at guys like Jalen Ramsey, who's back there, still playing and trying to contribute the best he can. Had an interception against Tua last week, but it almost feels like who doesn't have an interception against Tua at this point in the season? And so what we're going to see is not the same type of defense that we face against the Rams, not the same type of defense that we even face against the Giants. This is going to be something where we should as Lions fans feast.
All right. So Brian, can you do the green checkbox thing?
Okay.
All right. So if you're listening to us on a podcast, it'll be verbal. You'll get it. If you're watching anywhere else, the verbal will get it. So Lions offense, just points a game, ranked 1. Steelers defense, points per game, ranked 23. Brian.
So at this point, that's checkbox Detroit Lions, right?
Yeah, that's. Am I getting that right? Am I seeing it? Yeah.
I believe so. Yes.
All right. So total offense, Ryan Lions 4th. Total defense, Pittsburgh 21st. Right.
So for us, I think they're 20. I think they're 28.
28.
Yep,
okay.
28. So again, check mark Lions.
All right. So rushing, Lions 5th. Pittsburgh 19th.
Again, like the Lions should be able to establish the run. Gibbs should have a better day. I'm hoping that Monty also is featured during this game and gets going. I think he brings a sense of grittiness to this team.
Okay. So I mean, we can plow into that, but overwhelmingly, the Lions' offense should be okay with a track meet because they're going to get points.
Yes, and you hope that this week, if we score 30-plus points, that the defense this week, not playing the number one or one of the top offenses in the NFL, is able to make a stop or two. We're not playing the Rams this week. We're playing the Steelers. Okay, they are not the same potency. It's not Puka and Devontae Adams. It's basically DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
And so what we're going to see is a decent running game, and we're going to see them trying to grind out possessions, but it's, again, not the same type of shots down the field. It's not the same weapons that we saw against the Rams. So,
all right, so Pittsburgh on offense. This is where we got to think about our defense being vulnerable here. Points per game ranked 13th. Detroit on defense ranked 23rd.
Yeah, this is where we need to start picking it up because, again, if we score 30 points, we better be able to hold them below that. So,
total offense, though, Pittsburgh drops off, as in yards. They're averaging 288 a game, ranked 27th. Total defensive allowed, Lions they're offering a little bit more than that at 337, but ranked 21st.
Yep. So, I mean, we'll see. We have to reestablish that line of scrimmage. We've not done a great job against the Rams when it comes to stopping the run. We got to get back to that. And we, in our Legion of Whom backfield, we got to find ways to cover and have some pass breakups. So,
I want to group these next two up together because it's redundant, but Pittsburgh rushing offense averaging 92 yards a game, 28th in the NFL. Passing offense averaging 195, 23rd in the NFL. Versus the Lions defense allowing 106 on the ground, 13th in the NFL, and passing defense allowing 231 at 24th. It just seems like a lot of green check marks all around the board.
Yeah, and so again, the Lions are favored in this game for a reason. We check the boxes along the way, whether it's offense or even defense. But we have to step up and play. Our playmakers have got to make plays. Our defensive line have got to play better. You heard Aleem McNeil in his pressers this week say he's got to play better, but we got to remember he's coming off an ACL. He's not going to be 100% of himself until probably next year. But he has to play better. Hutch is playing at a high level, but he's got to get some help. He can't do it on his own. So are we going to get guys like Davenport finally contributing? I mean, you got to get this guy to contribute a stat. Muhammad, he's had one of his best seasons of the year, but we have to win our one-on-ones up front. And then you have to look at, this is going to be a game that the Steelers play 12 personnel, 2 tight ends, 1 running back. We're going to have to rely on our linebackers. They may even bring 13 personnel with 3 tight ends. 3 guys that we have to make sure that we rely on is Alex Anzalone, Derek Barnes, and Jack Campbell. And I appreciate what we're trying to ask Alex Anzalone to do is run fit while still playing man-to-man on those tight ends, and he's doing his darndest in order to be a contributor in there. And that's a hard ask, right? Yeah. Jack Campbell's playing out of his mind, but we need to get a little bit even more out of Derek Barnes.
Yeah, and you actually saw last week the Steelers running a ton of 3 tight ends.
Yeah.
And they will mix it up. There's not a tight end that really is a favorite tight end. They have 3 guys that they'll throw to at any time. Actually, they have a 4th guy they'll throw to.
Yeah.
So they're not scared to get big and heavy. One thing about a Mike Tomlin team is they're really efficient in the red zone. They take the ball away on defense, and they don't give the ball away on offense. which is why when we go through these stats, it's like, man, they don't stand out offensively, they don't stand out defensively, but they play a brand of football that's really fundamental, and they do a lot of the right things that don't show up in the stat line.
Yeah, so we're going to have to take care of the business on when we get the ball. We're going to have to make sure that we score points when we have opportunities. We're going to have to play a little bit more positional football when it comes to punting or kicking. This is not going to be one of those games that we can go all out and take huge chances. But we got to make sure we're smart in those chances.
Yeah. So Lions win it, Brian. How do they win it? And give me kind of the keys to that win. Is it outscoring them? Is it a track meet? Is it?
I don't think it's gonna be a track meet. I to be honest with you, if I can project any confidence in this specific game, is that we're going to outscore by quite. I'm going to say 10 points. The Steelers. So we're going to be able to score. My biggest concern right now is going to make sure that those dump downs we rally and tackle. We have Amik Robertson with a banged up hand. Is he going to look to make those clean fits? Is he going to be able to with a club on his hand? DJ Reed has been looking like he's a step behind, right? He hasn't been the same since he's come back from his hamstring injury. Is he going to be able to up his play? And in saying all of these things, Aaron Rodgers is going to get rid of the ball quick. He's going to hit his dump or his drop down or his second reads, his check downs. That's what I'm looking for. And we're going to have to rally and tackle. We cannot allow a dump off to turn into a 15-yard play.
Yeah. I think what you're going to see is Pittsburgh have some success. They're going to have that struggle of success between the 20-yard lines.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think you're going to have to see the Lions step up and hold them to field goals.
That's where I think the Lions are going to be able to separate, because we're going to have some explosives. We're going to have more explosives than the Steelers are going to have. We're going to score when we get into the red zone, because we've been pretty efficient when we got down there, and we still have a weapon when it comes to the special teams with Jake Bates, even with a missed field goal early in that game. So.
Yeah, it's kind of funny to me because I think the Steelers embody a lot of the Dan Campbell traits. Is really they want to slow the game down, they want to drag you to the deep end, and they want to get muddy. They want you to panic at the end of the game. And the Lions are a little bit more finesse this year, right?
And it's just a culture shift, right? Yeah. It's tough to get used to as fans.
Yeah, we saw it all. So, is there anybody on Pittsburgh's offense that, they're featuring really more like Kenneth Gainwell right now? They got 3 tight ends. They're not getting Freiermuth's probably getting the most love there, but not even a ton. They got DK Metcalf, but it's not DK Metcalf 8 years ago.
No, I think Aaron Rodgers is still playing good football, and I think he is a smart guy who is going to put some of these young defensive linemen and some of these inexperienced DBs in spots. So he's kind of ultimately the guy that I'm concerned most about. But if we can tighten up, press coverage, get to the quarterback early, make him make quicker decisions and get rid of the ball, and then rally and tackle, we're going to be able to win this game.
And on the reverse side, Lions lose this game, Brian, because I think they're gonna press, they're gonna play man. If Aaron Rodgers connects over the top a couple times, it really changes the whole game.
Absolutely, and they're going. The Steelers are going to win this game because we make the execution type mistakes, and we make them at critical spots. We're going to get into the Rams game, but there was some critical errors when we had the ball rolling, right? And that put us behind the sticks where, we're not a team that's going to be able to, recover from a 2nd down and 20. We're going to be a team that has to stay in front of the sticks. We have to make sure we keep that 3rd down and manageable in those types of situations. And we got to make sure that we don't turn the ball over.
Yeah. So, confidence level?
My confidence level this week is at 84%. We're going to take care of business.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
that's beautiful. Is there anything that you want to tag on at the end of this Steelers-Lions game here?
Gosh.
You're confident. We got a lot going on there.
Yeah.
You got a couple more stats you want to talk about?
The only other stat I would love to talk about is we were how great did we feel back a couple years ago when we ended Aaron Rodgers' career in Lambeau? Making him kind of walk off the field, just in kind of in shambles, right? And now we have another opportunity where he's talked about this being his last season. What if it's the Lions, turn to keep them or hold them out of the playoffs?
Well, that would make my heart happy, Brian. That would
Right?
make my heart happy. So
The only thing that would make me happier is if Kirby Joseph was able to step on the field and pick him off again.
yeah.
So,
Are we going to see Kirby this week?
We're not going to see
We're not
Kirby
gonna see
again.
Kirby
Nope.
this week. So
He hasn't practiced yet. It is Thursday, and we would love to have seen him get at least a limited practice in before, and he hasn't yet.
is there anything noteworthy on injuries going into this week that you've kind of picked up on?
The only one that I'm starting to see is one Amik was banged up, had a limited practice. It sounds like he's going to play. Taylor Decker didn't practice yesterday during the simulated walkthrough. But it sounds like that's kind of norm for him each and every week. He'll end up playing. But yeah, we're getting healthier, even though we are down guys like Terrion Arnold and Brian Branch and Kirby and so on. So
we're getting healthier, even though we're down
our entire secondary
superstars.
Yeah.
And it kind of reminds me a little bit of last year. So transitioning a little bit into the burial of the Lions last week, where we were all pretty happy. I mean, going into halftime, it just felt like, okay, this is going the way that we want it to go. Who's to blame here? Like, how did this happen?
And you can point the finger at a couple different spots. I mean, if you score 34 points, or the Lions should have won that game, right? When you allow the Chiefs to put up 40 plus points, that's the defense, right?
The Rams, yeah.
Yeah,
it's
what did I
okay.
say?
Yeah. The Chiefs.
No, I'm sorry, not when you allow the Rams to put up 40 plus points, that's a problem, right?
Brian was listening to Taylor Swift on his way over here.
That's a problem.
So yeah, I mean, Puka's tough, Stafford's tough. Corum's making a presence. He's letting Williams stay fresh, stay healthy. So last year, I think Kyron Williams was doing it all.
Yeah.
And he'd wear down in the game. And this year, they're keeping him fresh.
Yeah.
And they beat us around the edge
a
couple times towards the end of the game.
Did we just underestimate the speed of the running backs there? Did we our run fits are off? We're asking Rocky Sind as a corner to come off and play an edge who didn't play an edge. We're asking Derek Barnes to play both interior and edge. It just the breakdowns there, the execution and defensively, it wasn't sound.
So anything with the refs,
and we can talk about the refs, man. What do you think? Was that a touchdown? Was Parkinson's TD at the 1 yard line a touchdown? Was he down, or was it even a catch?
Are all fans nitpicking every game from their angle?
Sure.
But man, it just feels like the Lions got a good little argument here of like, it just is like the real obvious ones where, you listen to Tom Brady talk about it. He's like, oh yeah, this is coming back.
Well, you just have to ask yourself, like, it can't be all the things, right? It couldn't be a catch plus a touchdown. It could be a catch down the 1 yard line, or it had to have been an incomplete pass, right? They couldn't be both.
Yes. But it
was both.
It was both.
It was both.
It was both.
And I guess I wasn't even as put out by that, even though that's what we're talking about here. Because even if it was a catch at the 1 yard line, and you couldn't see whether the ball hit the ground or not, pretty sure it did. They would have put the ball at the 1 yard line, and the way that the Detroit Lions were playing, they most likely would have scored from there. What else we saw though was one penalty from the LA Rams throughout that entire game. Like, it doesn't seem even viable. How is that even possible?
How is that even possible? Yeah, it just, I don't know. When you're grasping for straws here as Lions fans, and we're trying to make sense of this, it just, you hone in on that, and it just doesn't feel like we're getting the most fair shake.
We're just like, you wish as fans you would get at least a call or two to go in your favor. And in a game like that, you look at JMO, a couple spots there, the deep shot down the middle, which questionable. Did he get tied up, or was that pass interference? Was that holding? Even on that same play, did Jared Goff get a helmet to helmet, and was there a roughing the passer? So they didn't call it. Okay, fine. But then later you see that play in the end zone where JMO gets completely taken out, and there's no holding, defensive holding. There's no pass interference. There's nothing, and that's where it's like, that was probably the more blatant of the two calls, and that we didn't get that. We didn't get that towards our favor either.
We can go on forever here.
We can go on forever.
But
Sorry.
let's fundamentally talk about maybe there was 3 and outs that were pivotal in that game, and that really changed the tenor of the whole game.
And the officiating wasn't the reason we lost that game, but it didn't help, obviously, right? The 3 and outs to start the third quarter, where the Rams took those turnover on those and scored points.
They flipped a 10-point game into a 10-point game.
Correct. And so you can't, as an offense, expect to go against the top team in the NFC, possibly one of the best teams in football right now, and go 3 and outs, giving up 14 points, and expect to recover. So,
Monty looked effective for a little bit.
Give him the ball.
Yeah, you've been a Monty guy.
Give him the ball.
Yeah.
Gibbs, I get he is a game changer, and I don't want to limit what we are able to do. I honestly think Gibbs contributes Monty contributes to Gibbs' success. And when you limit the touches for Monty, it limits the success for Gibbs.
Yeah.
So, and I honestly think that Monty's limited success limits the Lions' success. And we talked about this a little bit last week.
Yeah. So, in my opinion, you're bringing Monty out there, and what Monty does is he chips away, and you start getting into a time of possession type team. He runs hard. Teams stack the box a little bit more. You run into that box. You stay on schedule. You open up some of the slot merchant stuff, some of the stuff downfield, but you give your defense a rest.
Yes. And that was probably one of my biggest gripes about the play calling in the third quarter was, and I might as well talk about Bill right now, is that was one of his biggest gripes too, and I agree with him. A little Bill's bullet point here for you.
Let's just get right into it. Bill's bullet points here.
He talked about how, like, in baseball, first guy comes up, he grounds out on the first pitch. Second guy comes up, he grounds out on the first pitch. That third guy, whether that first pitch is it right down the middle or not, you got to take that pitch. You got to give your pitcher an opportunity to take a breath. You can't go into, you can't swap a half an inning like that on 3 pitches. You got to slow it down. You got to grind it out. And when you go for the big bomb to JMO in that second series in the third quarter, it doesn't allow your defense to take a breath.
Yeah.
Right? And there's opportunities to take that shot, but that's when you're up 10 or even up 7, right? So when you take that shot down the field, you gotta allow your defense to breathe.
So where's Bill at if he's sitting on the third floor of a building right now and he's on the balcony? What's he doing?
Right now, he's praying for a snow day tomorrow, and he wants to get down to Florida. Right now, he's taking his family down there, but he'll be watching games from his tiki hut that he loves. But he's still a believer that we're going to take the Steelers game. He's still a believer that we should take the Vikings game. And the problem is I don't know if he's necessarily a believer that we're going to go far into a playoff if we get there.
But we're getting steel on our spine right now. This 3-game stretch, think about the momentum, right? Like, it's hard to imagine it right now coming off a loss to the Rams. But what happened the game before the Rams, Brian?
We won.
So, okay.
It felt good. Cowboys game felt good, right?
Let's go back to that, right? So,
all right.
That's a win, right? Lose the Rams, so you're 1-1. You win the next 3. You finish the season. What does that mean?
That's huge. But you're telling me that we're going to win the next 3. I feel great about that, right? I feel great about that. But statistically showing we haven't done that, right? And so that's the concern. And that's why this season has been such a roller coaster. It's been up and down and up. My emotions are shot right now, okay? I don't know what to believe. I don't know if I need to believe in this team or if I need to, like, question this team. If I need to believe in Dan Campbell or if I need to question Dan Campbell. I don't know. Like, depends on the week. Like, last week, I believed in him completely. This week, I question him. Like, what's going on? Next week, I'm going to believe in him again. You know? I don't know. Where are we at?
I love it. So it just got me thinking here. It's got me thinking about, I got some parent advice a while back about I have a 3.5-year-old. It's a wild child, right? And then I have a 7-year-old. Wow, I got high energy kids, and you do too. And then I have this, 2-month-old almost now. So, and sometimes it just feels like, what the heck is going on? And my kids just are misbehaving. They're doing this and that. And I go to an old parent, and I'm kind of pouring myself out to somebody that's got, maybe 30-year-old kids, 40-year-old kids. And they tell me, hey, Rob, if you can just imagine, I would love for my kid to be 3.5 years old where he needed a hug and he's having a tough moment. I would be so much more patient knowing what I know now later on. And I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. So let's reverse this. Knowing what we knew 5 years ago, at the beginning of the Dan Campbell era, about like what we were going through and where we're at now, we would just be sitting here thankful that we're in the conversations each and every year to make the playoffs, right? So like we have to have an adequate amount of perspective. We're getting a little bit spoiled, right? We talked about that a little bit.
I agree that we're getting spoiled, but the standard, and even Dan and it's changed, right? The standard has changed. Like, our standard is no longer like, let's have a winning season and look good against the Rams. That's like, when we talk about that 5 years ago, we would have loved to have a great game and lost by 7 to the Rams because we look good. That's not our standard anymore.
Yeah. We can still go and hug our Lions.
We can. I'm still a fan.
And I like the Lions, honestly, like sitting here right now. If there's a bet out there where you can take the Lions to win the last 3 games, make the playoffs, like, I'm taking that bet. I like this team's makeup. I like the DNA. I like the leadership. I am not questioning leadership at one bit. And we're going to sit here in the offseason. We're going to go over Brad Holmes, woulda, coulda, shoulda, draft picks. That's bullshit. Like, if we want to analyze all the teams with their GMs and their draft picks, like, revisionist history is like, dude, work in the stock market. If you would have bought just NVIDIA a few years ago and sold your house, mortgaged your future, whatever it is, like, that's just a straw man's argument, right? Like, this is the NFL. It's tough to consistently make the playoffs and be in the picture. It's really, really hard.
And you look,
and we're here.
And we're here.
We're here.
We're playing meaningful games in December. We're playing right now that with a game that means something this week and probably next week. And all the way through the season.
It's probably the next week, right?
So we're in a good spot, but I don't want to lose the idea that we have a standard, because as soon as I become complacent with, just making it to the playoffs or being close to the playoffs or having a winning season, we become the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we ultimately we have a good history, but I want to see the championships that go along with it.
Yeah. And standards are standards, Brian, and standards, they deviate a little bit, right? Like, we can go into standards in college, we can go into standards, but like, they deviate, and like right now we have this model standard, right? And I think it's a false standard. We built ourselves up to an unattainable standard, really.
Sure.
Like,
well, we're coming off a season which was, like, you don't see a 15-2 season from the Lions, let alone anybody in the NFL right now. So it's just one of those things that we've had such success, and now we're getting, like you said, spoiled. But at the same time, we had a standard set for playoffs and possibly Super Bowl to make sure that we make it in, and now we're kind of coming into more of a reality where we got some learning to do. We have impacts of coordinators and young offensive linemen and no edge setters. Just some pieces that we might be lacking. So some holes that we might have.
No edge setters. Interesting. Okay, we'll take that one later on. All right. Let's get into Rob's one pride picks.
Okay, let's do it.
Look, we got to get a more positive tenor here.
Sure.
So last week I was all over the board. My official one lost.
Yeah, you were a Gibbs anytime touchdown away.
Yeah, which hurt me, and that was a late tack on.
Yeah.
But I hit, and missed, and that's okay. I'm here. I'm coming back, and about as confident as I've been looking at this. So,
all right.
If you just want a simple one, take the points or give the points. Take the lines, give the points. If you, like me, want to be a little bit cute, okay? Or if you want to play some individual plays, Montgomery, 40 yards, plus 105. Take it.
Take it.
Gibbs, 2 tutties. This is not an official pick. Plus 205. Take it. Lions are going to score points. Amon-Ra, 90 yards. Even money. Take it. Officially, though.
Officially. Okay, this is the official one pride pick.
I'm backing down the Lions. I'm saying I don't want to be worried about 7's a big number. And there's some backdoor cover stuff that happens with 7. You're up 13. Your second stringers are in, and they go down. They get a touchdown, meaningless at the end of the game, and you get kind of robbed of that. So take the Lions money line.
Okay.
I talked about Amon-Ra at 90 yards. Drop it back to 70 yards. He'll get your 70. I talked about Monty at 40. Drop it to 30. It's all factored in. Talked about Gibbs at 2 touchdowns. Drop it to 1 touchdown. You do all those things together. That's it's plus 270, Brian.
Wow. Okay.
So you bet $9, you win $34,
okay.
$35. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling like, you know what? 1-800-GAMBLER. This is not gambling advice. You don't put your mortgage on it.
No.
You put your Jimmy John's money on it, right? Like and that's why it's a $9. It's a Jimmy John's and a bag of chips. All right, and maybe next time you'll be able to take that Jimmy John's and a bag of chips, and you'll be able to go to the next restaurant up, which is maybe Applebee's for $34. But that's what I got. So money line, St. Brown 70 yards, Monty 30 yards, Gibbs touchdown, plus 268 as it stands right now. I'm feeling pretty good about it.
I love it. All right, let's see what we got.
I'm feeling pretty good about it. We hit Bill's bullet points. Anything else around the NFL that you want to hit?
I mean, you've seen some injuries that kind of struck. Mahomes ACL. You see Micah ACL. I mean, those things hurt, right? I mean, you might have seen on Twitter a list of guys with ACLs, Achilles, and that includes a Brian Branch. You know, those are tough injuries to hit all throughout, not just Detroit Lions. So
yeah. Recapping this whole thing, Lions confidence level is at 84.5%
this week. Yes.
To win.
84.5%
to win. Lions to make the playoffs, Brian. Percentage.
Oh man, it goes down to, for me, it's probably like a 58%.
Okay, 58 is a good number.
Yeah,
I like 58. All right. Anything else you want to tell our viewers?
Hey, please subscribe, tell a friend. Stop for a second and just tell a friend. Tell a friend, hey, if you're a Lions fan, check out these 2 chumps that are talking about Lions, and they're fun. They're excited. They're positive. They're fans like you and me. Interact with us. Check us out on social media and tell us what we're doing right. Tell us what we're doing wrong, and how we can help make this the best spot for you.
Hey, Abe, if you're listening this deep in the podcast,
Abe?
He's told a couple friends.
I appreciate that.
Abe from work. And we got a couple new followers, and that's all it takes. And the new followers actually gave me some feedback, and they're like, man, this is a lot of fun. It's a great show. So you don't know who's missing out on this, right? It's just, so text it to your hey, if you forgot to give your dad a Christmas present, your mom a Christmas present, your grandma a Christmas present, text them the information about our show. And this will be a gift that keeps on giving
Each week
for years and years to come. So, yeah, we're bailing you out now for Christmas. All right?
Yep, you're welcome.
Yeah. Well, hey, we appreciate you passing time with us. We are a Detroit Lions podcast. Again, I'm Rob.
I'm Brian.
We'll see you next week. Go Lions.
Let it go, Lions.